In this video, I'll double down on why I say that the black liberal politician is the most egregious amongst all politicians. Exhibit A, Maxine, Mad Max Waters.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot. Nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight. And don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw. And
why not rely on the actual footage that we saw? There is no such thing as a peaceful protest fighting against legitimate government agencies such as ICE to protect illegal immigrants from being detained and shipped back to their country of origin. Maxine Waters represents a district in California, and correct me if I'm mistaken, her district is one of the worst impoverished, crime-ridden districts in California. And she's been doing this for about 40 years. She has gotten wealthy herself while her constituents remain poor, impoverished, emotional, and violent. Allow us to switch over into this next video, and where we show a legal being charged with attempted murder, I believe. Allow us to dive in.
Arrested a previously deported illegal alien who you guys say was caught on video throwing a Molotov cocktail at law enforcement during the riots here in Los Angeles on Saturday. Tell us about this guy and what charges is he now facing?
Bill, that's right. This is a Mexican national who is in our country illegally. He's being charged with attempted murder, throwing Molotov cocktails at our law enforcement officers, at our ICE enforcement officers. But this is not his first run-in with the law. Just last year, he was charged with a DUI as well as grand larceny. This is the perfect example of people who should not be in this country. And as these politicians try so vehemently to demonize and vilify our ICE officers, they are on the streets putting their lives at risk every single day to get these criminal illegal aliens off of our streets and make sure that Los Angeles and other great cities in the United States are safe.
Whether you like it or not, Trump had a mandate to fix the economy and to shut that border down and deport those who had entered this country illegally. To compound that is the fact that many of these individuals are and have criminal records. You let in over 13,000, I believe, those individuals who had murder convictions. I think maybe 15,000 sexual assault convictions. You've let in a number of individuals that we cannot count, innumerable, when it comes to them and their criminal past. And yet, again, the black liberal politicians are fighting for illegal immigrants while their districts are poor, while the constituents of their district, in most cases, are vile, are vulgar, and are prone to violence and destruction. And the economic situation has not changed. And you have these politicians like Maxine Waters standing up, fighting, and lying about the engagement of these illegal immigrants and other protesters when it comes to the violence that they've spewed upon the American city of Los Angeles and those police officers and ICE agents and federal agents that are there to protect the buildings and protect innocent people from being harmed by these mobs of individuals as they act and commit violence. Once you engage in committing violence, it only escalates unless you are stopped. And this is how these riots continue to spill out of control. So when it comes to Maxine Waters, and again, I really hate going after these black liberal politicians, but I have to call them for what it is. They are the worst of the worst. They have produced nothing in regards to changing the condition of their constituents for who they represent. And she's been representing them for 40 years. And that district, like many other impoverished districts that are represented by black liberal politicians, their condition has gotten worse. Their mental, their emotional condition, their vile, vulgar, and disrespect, their lack of pride for their community, the lack of pride for their behavior, it only has escalated. And these politicians, they don't correct them on their behavior. They want to continuously point the government at some outside force. Two things can be true. There can be situations where discrimination or oppression may exist. Of course, that exists. But also, the other thing that is true is the behavior that these individuals have engaged in, who remain in a stuck position and have accepted that position and actually have fallen into the negative behavior that glorifies degenerate behavior, that cannot be looked over or glossed over. Individuals have to be willing to change their behavior, have to be willing to improve themselves. They cannot continue to point the finger outside of themselves. I'm going to finish with this. Myron Golden says there are contributing factors and there are determining factors when it comes to our life. Contributing factors are always on the outside. There are those things that have influence, but only from the outside. Determining factor is from within. Determining factors supersede contributing factors once that individual has determined that they will do what they need to do in order to change the situation within their life, or they would die trying to do so. And this doesn't take away from the environment having a major impact in individuals growing up in a less than optimal situation, and sometimes extremely hard to break free from those situations. But at the end of the day, personal responsibility has to be part of the equation. And these Democrats only want to blame Donald Trump, ICE, etc., for the ills of this nation and their community. That is not the case. Two things can be true and they can be opposing each other. So allow us to finish out with this right here.
Yeah, and we've seen all these foreign flags waving during these protests. So remarkable that an illegal alien previously deported now being charged with throwing a Molotov cocktail at law enforcement down there in Los Angeles. Also want to get your attention to some of what California Governor Gavin Newsom and LA Mayor Karen Bass, have been saying in recent days. They're saying the National Guard isn't necessary. They've been saying things are peaceful. Here's a little bit of what they've been saying.
When Donald Trump sought blanket authority to commandeer the National Guard, he made that order apply to every state in this nation. This is about all of us. It clearly will not end here. Other states are next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. I think that's...
Again, Gavin Newsom, although he's not a black liberal, he's a white liberal, and he is disgusting when it comes to what he has done to California. And what they are trying to do, they always argue, say that democracy is at stake. They are the ones who are undermining democracy. Let's look at how they carried the situation with Joe Biden. They did not have any type of primary for anybody to challenge Joe Biden. They arbitrarily made him step down without the voters of the Democratic Party saying that they wanted him to step down. They arbitrarily picked Kamala Harris to run for the president without having a Democratic, their Democratic constituents' involvement. They have undermined democracy. When you allow millions of illegal immigrants into the country, many of them who are violent criminals, you undermine democracy. Gavin Newsom is indeed an embarrassment to America. He should be an embarrassment to the state of California, a state that saw San Francisco go into deep decline, a state that has the #1 homeless population on the planet, a state that has lost billions of dollars due to businesses moving out of the state, a state that allowed wildfires to destroy a community because they didn't want to have water flowing in from these water sources that could have allowed those fire hydrants to be full and they could battle those fires better. Gavin Newsom is ridiculous, and so is Karen Bass. These liberals.
It's a problem with the administration, because to come in such a massive way and to make the announcements that all of this was going to happen and then not communicated with the local jurisdiction as to when, what, how, why is really problematic.
We don't need to communicate with you. You've already proven that you would block the federal agents from coming in and doing their job. You have already proven that you are on the side of those who entered this country illegally. You liberals, and again, I have a special disdain for the black liberals because they are only keeping those black liberal voters who are poor, they're only keeping them impoverished and blaming the government for their impoverishment while they become rich as the representatives of poor communities, and they do nothing to change the condition of those communities. Those communities are worse off today than they were 60 years ago under real oppression, under real segregation. The black community in the inner city, these individuals have completely went backwards. Their morals, their values, their interests and principles are all degenerate, and the culture that they have engaged in only serves to make the community worse and to continue a race to the bottom. And this is why these black liberal politicians are the most egregious. Again, if you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, comment, and we can discuss that on any day of the week. Remember to follow me on my fitness channel, Monte's Fitness, where I share videos, workout videos that you can follow along and do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Tuesday and Thursday, we break down a lot of wellness information dealing with arthritis, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, autoimmune diseases, anything that has to deal with the health of this human organism, we cover. And again, you have access to a free workout Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, where you'll see my exercise clients modeling the exercise that you would do, and you can use that as your personal trainer. Something that I charge a lot of money to do in person. You're getting it for free. So I would tap into that. Have a beautiful day. Sending you peace, sending you love. Peace.